Dash and Bash is pretty much a segment that in which we talk about giant corporations doing breezy stealing stuff. And there's an unemployment rate going on all across the world. And if Phil can drop this clip right here, so pretty much maybe this is why some monkeys are pretty much taking jobs now. So Phil can like drop this clip. So pretty much it's allegedly that Wegmans is like selling coconut milk produced by harvested by monkeys. Pretty much.
How is the monkey producing it?
They're getting the coconuts and cracking the coconuts. I'm gonna play the next clip that shows the breakdown of it. But this is pretty much this is like the recent news of the monkeys taking the coconuts for Wegmans.
The monkeys put the lime in the coconut.
So Phil can play the video behind this. It's actually old news, but now actually like Wegmans is being pointed out, and other corporations in Britain and stuff like that have been pointed out for the monkeys. So we want to watch this video. I want to see what you have to say about this.
This is Kulap, one of countless monkeys trapped in Thailand's
Who named him?
industry. Peter Asia investigators have uncovered shocking abuse of monkeys on farms in Thailand that produce coconuts for export around the world to be used to make coconut milk, yogurt, oil, and other products. As you watch this, enslaved monkeys are suffering. This is the dark side of Thailand's coconut
They're making that
industry.
coconut oil for you.
Monkeys like Kulap are abducted from their homes in nature, where they live in large social groups. They're kept chained and isolated on barren, dirty farms with very little opportunity to interact with other monkeys. Many go insane. These intelligent social animals are treated like coconut picking machines. Their lives are filled with suffering, and there's no retirement. An industry insider reported that it's rare to find a product from Thailand containing coconut that wasn't picked by monkeys. If you see a product made with Thai coconuts, such as coconut milk, oil, water, or yogurt, please leave it on the shelf to avoid supporting this life.
Unfortunately, it's too late. I've been using that for a long time. So now I'm just finding out about the monkeys making coconut products. So
now, I mean, my thing is, I feel like you always have to take anything that comes from PETA with like a mountain of Himalayan pink rock salt, like anything with sodium. You just need a lot of sodium when it comes from PETA. Like,
I'll go one step further, and anytime I hear manipulative music in the background, it tends to make me not want to believe any of what you have
the
to say,
sad
because
music.
I mean, we've seen enough from Susan Sarandon already.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, son.
I liked her in
People
Rescue.
eating tasty animals every day.
You like
waffles
monkey
every day.
Susan
coconut milk?
Sarandon was hot. I don't care if she's 50 years older than me.
No, but I'm saying if you see her in an infomercial, you know you're about to hear some fucking heartstring tugging bullshit.
Yeah, but like anytime if I'm trying to explain something to you and I need that little, that piano piece in the background to get you to listen, I don't like it. I don't like when what you have is if you're trying to make a documentary, don't manipulate me emotionally.
Yeah.
Say what you gotta say. Say it with your chest.
At the same time, that's a sad fucking monkey, and that's
It's sad monkeys in the pickup.
My thing is, why are you fucking videotaping it instead of freeing it? Like, that shit always fucks me up. Like, they want to put the video on the starving child in Africa. Motherfucker, you got food in your pocket.
Because usually it's like some guy working
because if
there
you freeze the monkey, then
getting
someone's
paid
gonna
like
run after
$5 for the footage. He can't lose his job for this $5 of footage filming some monkeys in the cage in the back of the pickup truck. Usually these kind of.
Why, so you're saying that PETA doesn't offer living wage? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, I don't think they're paying people for this footage. I think this is like for
If
a good.
he frees the monkey, then he has to climb up and break the coconuts off himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
You
enough
can't free the
motivation
monkey,
to
so he
not.
just films the monkey and gets the money. Film the monkey, and then beat the monkey after he films it. Probably, like.
We
Now,
have a
that monkey was
policy at
beating
work.
himself.
There's a policy at work where if you fire someone, you have to take their job. So maybe they have the same policy, and no one wants to take his job.
Yeah. So this is signs of like what's happening in the world. People are worried about jobs. This is jobs that monkeys are pretty much doing the job. A human probably can do it, or a machine could probably can doing it, but they got monkeys doing it, which is way
because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay a living wage. They don't want to pay a fair day's wage for a fair day's work. They don't want to do that. So they would rather enslave animals. And then people want to talk about how people should just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Like, look at all of the disgusting things that these companies are doing to make money. Like, if they could make the entire human race unemployed, they would if they could.
So who's gonna buy stuff if we don't have any jobs?
Who's thinking about the long run? Who's thinking about the actual
who's gonna buy things if no one has a job?
There's probably a lot of things that you can do that cannot be outsourced to a monkey. And I mean, if you look at the entire IT profession, most of it is based on IT people are some of the biggest assholes in the world because their job is to get rid of jobs. When they came out with Asterisk and Free PBX, how many people who were receptionists or who forwarded calls to different people got fired? You could fire 10,000 people at a company once the PBX phone system came out. Technology professionals exist to get rid of people's jobs in a sense.
Yeah.
That's what Andrew Yang was trying to appeal to the truck drivers of the United States and say, hey, I know that you guys are big Trump heads, but a lot of these CEOs that he's representing as the president, they're going to try to automate your job away. I think he was saying up to 80% of all jobs that we know of will be automated in the next 20 years. So
if you're used to making 60 or 70,000 a year, which comes out to maybe 1,000 a week after taxes, and then you're told you won't get that, but you'll get 1,200 a month, I think that's really just going to take you from murderous rage to I'll just break in the.
No, we got 1,200 for 6 months. We got 1,200 for 8 months, pretty much.
But I mean, Andrew.
No, he was talking about UBI, Universal Basic.
I didn't talking about what just happened in this country. Like we just had.
Oh no, not the actual real life bullshit we're going through.
Oh, it's about what we should be.
Andrew Yang's UBI was the idea of $1,200 a month in freedom bucks. Now, if you're a truck driver and you're making 60,000 a year and you lose your job, I think the 1,200 it's really just going to bridge that gap between murderous rage and I'll throw
and riot rage.
And you have that big truck too. Why are you gonna get someone mad with a big truck? He's gonna just go out there with that.
I would honestly be for UBI before a higher minimum wage. Because specifically,
I mean that's what direction they're going in. A lot of the places they're going.
I mean, but that in effect does raise the minimum wage.
No, because specifically for me, the way that I got my first not Model Sporting Goods putting price tags on basketball ship it, where I was actually able to sit with people who were really good electronics technicians at the best studios in the country, was showing up and saying I will mop your floors for free.
They said 12,000 per family, not per person, which sounds. Yeah.
The only way I was able to get that job was appealing and saying, I'm 17, I don't know shit, but I will clean the floors and shit for free for 3 months. And then after that, they hired me for $6 or $7 an hour. And then I got to sit next to people that actually were good at their job and knew what they were doing and slowly absorb shit. And I was able to take that and start my own company. If minimum wage was 15 or $20, they're not hiring a 17-year-old that can't do anything for their business. So if you combine that with the UBI so that you're able to get that type of apprenticeship or experience without starving, I'm more for that than I am for a minimum wage.
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems you face when it comes to these corporate jobs, even from media to everything. It's all of the low-level jobs like internships, fellowships, those are most shitty, fantastic jobs. But if you get those jobs and work those jobs, then you can be a producer, you can be an executive producer, you can be whatever you want to be. But those jobs are so shitty. The only people who can afford those jobs are people who come for money, pretty much. Who can afford on mom and dad for a few months to work for free at internship at Sony and whatnot.
Yeah, I was working at Progressive Music for 30 or 40 hours a week for $7 an hour, and then I was working at at Avatar Studios for another 8 hours a day, and then I would get home at 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I would sleep until 3 or 4 and wake up, and it sucked. But working there. I got a jump start on a lot of people because the youngest tech at Avatar Studios, his name I think was Phil Lipscomb, and he was working there when he was 29 years old, and I got to start there when I was 17. And by the time I was 19 or 20, I knew a lot of the stuff that he did. So I got a real jump start on that, and I want the next generation of people to have the opportunity that I had. But I also don't want it to go broke. So if it was I would rather there be some sort of UBI in the future than a very, very high minimum wage. because I realized that a higher minimum wage would have taken away my ability at 17 to say, I'll work for you for free and do all this other shit. And by the way, that internship was completely, Avatar's out of business now, so I can say this out loud without caring. That was totally illegal. You can only have an internship for minimum wage or college credit. I was not in college, and 0 is not minimum wage. So it was completely illegal. But at the same time, if it was the choice between going to college for 4 years to get some engineering degree, or 6 months, 3 months of mopping shit up and other 3 months of learning in a fast-paced environment, I'd take that any day. But
so speaking of UBI, if Phil can drop this clip, I mean, if we had this probably wouldn't be a monstrous problem happening in this country. The event apocalypse that's about to go down even further down the line. It's getting pushed even further down the line because people owe even more months rent now.
How awful does that taste, Louis?
So like if Phil can drop this next
is the
clip,
good one, peanut butter.
Okay.
Peanut butter makes everything better.
I think it was the color of the shaker cup that made it look like it was disgusting.
The Trump administration aims to halt evictions for some renters through the end of the year. Channel 2's Brandon Walker is joining us live in Southeast Houston with the details on this. Brandon?
Yeah, and Christine, last night we told you about the CDC Moratorium.
Brandon needs to fire his barber.
Evictions for those who are paying rent. All of this because of the coronavirus. And
I mean, he's not in New Yorkers always make fun of everybody else.
Sides of this argument. People representing tenants, also landlords here who say they've got some questions about this and just want to know how it's going to work.
I want to be really, really clear.
Lone Star Legal Aid, which defends tenants being evicted, hosted a Facebook Live Wednesday to answer questions about a moratorium on evictions announced Monday by the CDC.
The amount of, tenants that this is going to help is astronomical.
The CDC's temporary moratorium goes into effect Friday, runs through the end of the year. To apply, residents will have to declare to their landlord significant financial loss because of COVID-19 and can't pay full rent despite trying. Tenants also must stipulate moving would leave them homeless or force them to live in close quarters with others, which is unsafe during the pandemic.
If you get
Single
kicked out,
applicants can't make more than $99,000 a year, no more than $198,000 in homes with 2 incomes. A good step, say housing advocates, who add rental assistance is still needed because residents will still be responsible for money owed.
There's nothing in the CDC's eviction moratorium order that alleviates the debt that renters are owe right now or are going to owe in the future.
Landlords also have questions. Last month, we introduced you to Alberto and Erica Hernandez, who filed eviction against a tenant in June. They haven't had a court date yet and have had to pay out of pocket for their mortgage. Their question, what about them?
It was discouraging for us just because we feel we're already not being heard and not getting any help.
Yeah, that family we profiled earlier this month, last month rather, we spoke to them today. Their thoughts on this. Again, people are still looking to get some questions answered about how it will work. Landlords also say that there is no protection for them here. All of this going into effect on September 4th, rather. Advocates say that they wouldn't be surprised if there were any lawsuits filed to challenge this, so stay tuned. We are live on the South Side. I'm Brandon Walker, KPRC Channel 2 News.
All right, Brandon, thank you.
So that's pretty much what's going down. No one's offering no relief to landlords. No one's offering no relief to renters. So everyone has to figure out how to get the money, how to get the money to the banks who got relief. So it's pretty much what the situation we have right now. In some ways, it's like the banks got all this money, yet landlords, renters, we're all kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what to do in the next few months.
But for me, I feel like it's weird when you look at it from the landlord's point of view. And for those who know who Louis Rossman is, he's doing, I think, season 2 or 3 of Rossman Realty, and he's looking around, and apparently we have a bunch of landlords that don't believe that we are in a fucking pandemic where people are not able to work. So they're working really hard to push those evictions through, but then there's nobody coming to rent or buy your space.
I actually saw rents go up $50, $100 from when they made that announcement. The CDC rent actually went up in a lot of listings over the past 2 days. They were down 100 and they went up 2 days later after the CDC made that announcement. So that's why I saw
people. There's going to be less spaces available, which means the spaces that are already available are probably going to go up in price to some extent. What I find weird about this and doing this at the federal level is the number they said, $98,000. So, like, if
In New
you're in
York
San
City.
Francisco, so sorry, go ahead.
No, you're about to say it. San Francisco's even worse. Go ahead.
No, if you're in Custer, South Dakota versus San Francisco, you have very different ideas of poverty. So, I mean, like, if someone in Custer, South Dakota is watching this, they're thinking, I make $650,000 a year. I'm renting this little shit shack house out to someone who makes $80,000 a year, and I can't evict him if he decides not to pay me. That's bullshit. And then in San Francisco, you probably have someone who makes $96,000 a year, who lives in some bullshit $8,000 crap hole apartment.
Total
who's
crap
thinking,
hole.
who's thinking to himself, crap, I have to pay back all this money next year, but I'm not making any money now.